Welcome everyone to Becoming the Ultimate Storygazer series. In the previous video we talked about the Storylace Theater and all the art it has. Well, I'm happy to report that as of today we have 95 illustrations by 23 different artists from 9 different countries, as far as I know. So what was the cost of creating all of this? Well, stay till the end of the video and you'll get a pretty good idea.
In this video we're gonna talk about the process of creating the illustrations for the Storylace Theater. And the first step would be obviously to read the books. We already did that because we read all the books before adding them to the theater, but if we hadn't, that would be our first step.
The second step would be to gather all the key moments that we want to illustrate, because a book has so many moments that you could illustrate. Like, think about it, for instance, a book adapted into a movie. Like, how many frames from the movie could you break into illustrations? Or a TV series, even worse, like they're just countless. So yeah, basically a book has so much material that you can illustrate that it is a complex process also to decide which ones you want to illustrate.
Exactly. Unfortunately, we don't have an unlimited budget, so we ideally want to spread the illustrations evenly throughout the book. However, this is not always possible. For instance, if we have different POVs with many interesting things happening at the same time, we might end up with illustrations that are closer to each other, or if we have different pacing throughout the book. But ideally, we want them as spread out as possible to maximize your enjoyment.
Yeah, and once we have decided which ones are the illustrations that we want to create, the next step is to find an artist. For instance, Adri right here is an artist. Hi, artist! And well, she has illustrated several scenes for the Storylace Theater. And going back also to the first artist we hired, that was a recommendation by Gillian Grant, who's the author of the Blood of Eth series, which is in the Storylace Theater. And we have worked with that artist also in many illustrations already. And we needed even more artists, and we wanted to work with more artists, so finding them was also quite the process. We used tools like ArtStation, Reddit, DeviantArt, Instagram, and so on. And actually I want to mention that also in Storylace we've created a page called LFA, which stands for Looking for Artists, and our reasoning is that, well, we've already experienced firsthand how that process works, and we wanted to create another tool where we can facilitate this process for people also looking to hire book-loving artists.
And once we found the artist for a particular illustration, next we have to prepare the brief. This is the most time-consuming task on our end on this process.
Yes, that's one of the most time-consuming tasks that we have to undertake to be able to bring these scenes to life. And some of the artists actually have told us that our briefs are some of the most thorough that they've ever seen.
We try to make them as detailed as possible while also leaving a lot of room for creativity and the artist's own input. So for each scene, we prepare a document with the characters, the setting, details about the mood, and we even include some sketches that we do ourselves or gather some other references to use as a mood board.
And with the brief ready, this is where the artist's work begins. And for this video we have prepared a surprise for you. One of the amazing artists that we've worked with, Padilla, shared with us a time-lapse for one of the artworks that he illustrated for the Storylace Theater. And we're gonna go into that while we continue our conversation. Hey, we're still here. So, the process of every artist to create an illustration can be very different. The process we're looking at right now is Padilla's.
Generally speaking, after we give the artists a brief, they will send us back several thumbnails and or sketches with several composition options, and we go from there.
For those of you who are watching this video and are not familiar with the term composition when talking about illustrations, we're basically talking about the arrangement of the visual elements that make up the final piece. This includes, but it's not limited to, the camera angle, character poses, colors, shapes, and things like that.
Once we decide on a composition, we start a process of back and forth where the artist starts detailing more and more the illustration.
And as we've already mentioned, the brief can have a lot of information, so it's normal that a small detail or two will slip past our or the artist's radar.
And that's why this process of back and forth is so important, to provide feedback and to reduce the amount of changes by the time the artist reaches the final stages of the illustration.
And once it's done, it's done. That's it. If there's any outstanding amount to pay to the artist, we pay them, of course. We receive the illustration file in the highest quality and upload them to the Storylace Theater for the page of the book that it belongs to.
We then add the storygazing touches that round the whole experience. We add the music that complements the mood of the illustration, and we add the relic scenario.
Creating the relic scenarios for an artwork is a super interesting process that we will cover in more detail in another video. But essentially, there's a collaboration between us at Storylace and the book's author, so that both the scenes and the relics make sense in the context of the world of the book. The relics are the story memorabilia you collect during your storygazing adventures.
Plus, you should know that the lore behind each relic is entirely written by the author. So by reading the book with Storygazing, you get more fun and interesting bits about the world and the characters of the book.
Okay, so let's talk about the money. These artworks obviously take the artists a lot of time to create, it's not magic, and in fact, they have to undergo countless hours of training, deliberate practice, and great expenses to become professional illustrators with the skill to create pieces like this one you're watching.
As such, the price every artist charges varies depending on their skill, the number of hours it takes them to complete an illustration, and their personal situation.
Therefore, it's impossible to give you an exact monetary price of each artwork. It really varies a lot. Plus, it is well known that art is subjective. But just to give you maybe a rough idea, this one you're watching and this kind of artwork is worth at least several hundreds of dollars.
Having different artists with many different styles is intentional. It's really fun to see the books come to life in a variety of styles. And another reason to do this is to pay tribute to the power of imagination, because everyone imagines the characters and settings differently. There is no one right way to imagine these things.
Yeah, for example, there are a few characters in this illustration from whom we already have dozens of different depictions. It's an incredible feeling to see how the artists imagine the characters you're reading about.
Some depictions might be closer to what you imagined, and others might give you some delightful surprises.
I'm pretty sure many of you watching this video are familiar with that feeling, and at Storylace we make it our job to bring you that happiness. Now, before wrapping up the video, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, right? AI-generated images.
There is no denying that this tool is causing a major impact on many creative industries.
We started commissioning the first illustrations for the Storylace Theater during the beginning of June 2023. And just as a fun fact, Jerry was actually one of the first artists we were working with during that time. Anyway, that was a time when the AI image generation tools were already available to the public. However, we decided not to use them and opted to collaborate with human artists instead.
There were many reasons for this decision. The first reason that comes to mind is that the human artists bring an expertise that the machine can't give you. They have spent years studying anatomy, color theory, composition, honing their craft, and developing their own style, and we wanted to be able to give Storygazers that level of artistic quality in the theater.
Another reason is that we love the idea of being able to build a community that included artists, authors, and readers, all book lovers in one place. As an example, look at other industries and companies. Like the video games industry, they receive huge support and involvement from illustrators, and that's very cool to see. So why can't books too, right? And last but not least, there was a huge ethical consideration behind our decision. We feel like training machine learning algorithms with the artist's works as a means to replace them and not have to pay them is morally questionable at best.
Choosing this route meant it took us a lot more time and money to get this out there, but we are very happy with the result, and we really hope you enjoy it. All the illustrations in the Storylace Theater are full of fun and creative details. By the way, did you see the goblin cheering in the illustration? That was a fun addition.
Yeah, and I also love the cat in the ceiling. If you want to see the full time-lapse, which lasts around 20 minutes, you can currently find it on Jerry's Patreon, and if you enjoyed his art, also give him a follow on his social media. We're including the links in the description below, and speaking about that, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.
And that's it for today. If you like what we're doing here and you would like to support us, becoming a Storygazer is the best way to do it.
Yes, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I hope this video was helpful and that you now have a much better idea of all the work that goes into building the Storygazing experience. Let us know in the comments how you like it, what else you would like to see. We will hopefully see you in the next one. Have a beautiful day. Take care. Bye bye.